So we are going to start in child's pose. And just know that wherever we go within this practice, you can always come back to child's pose. It is our resting place. It's kind of home base. So we're just going to start taking a few deep belly breaths. Your knees can be a little bit wide. Breathing deep into the belly as we are reaching forward with our fingertips. Take 3 really big deep breaths there. On your next breath, you can start to come back up. So we're in tabletop position, hands and knees, and we're going to cycle through a few cat-cows, just warming up the spine for practice. So on your inhale, you can start to drop the belly, bring the eyes up. And on your exhale, puff your spine up to the ceiling. Inhale through neutral and into cow. Exhale, puff all the way up into cat. You can start to move like this on your own breath. And we can also reverse the breath here. So we can come to neutral and then inhale into cat. And you might get different sensations. And exhale into cow. A few more like this with the breath reversed. And then we will bring our knees all the way together, bring our hands out wide, and start to move our hips in a circle. So we are going to move in 5 big hip circles one way. This also just kind of warms up the shoulders, warms up the wrists. Once you've done 5 one way, switch directions and we'll do 5 the other. Once you've done your 10 big circles, we'll come back into tabletop and this time bring the knees out as wide as your mat. Bring your right hand to the center of your chest right underneath, and we're going to inhale our left arm all the way up to the sky, getting a twist in our thoracic spine, our mid-spine. And then on our exhale, we'll reach through, thread the needle. You can reach forward with your right fingertips. And we'll cycle through, following our breath like this, 4 times. Going at whatever speed feels good for you, inhaling on the way up, and exhaling on the way through. One more time on this side, inhale. And exhale, thread. Come back to neutral. We'll do the same thing here with our left hand in the center of our chest. Inhale your right arm to the sky. Exhale through. Inhale back up. And exhale through. You might feel some cracking in the spine. Make sure you're directing your breath wherever you feel any tension. One more. Come back to neutral. Take 1 deep breath here, just finding stability in tabletop. And we are going to move into a couple of bird dogs and just wake up the core. So ground down into your mat with your right knee and your left hand, and we'll start to extend the left heel out behind us, and we'll let our right hand follow, making sure that we're keeping a straight spine, straight neck. We're looking down, so we're not looking forward. Once we're here and we can feel the core turning on a bit, we're going to squeeze everything into the middle, touch your elbow to your knee, and extend back out. Reach everything in, come into a tight little ball. Extend back out. 2 more like that. Squeeze everything in. And reach forward, finding length. 1 more time, everything comes in. And reach it forward. Hold here for 1 breath. Come back down, find your tabletop. Find stability now in the left knee and the right hand. Start to extend your right heel out behind you, followed by the left hand. Big breath here. And exhale. And then we'll start to squeeze everything into center. And extend once again, finding strength in your core line. Squeeze everything in. Reach it out. 2 more. In, tight little ball. Exhale, reach, find length. 1 more. Squeeze everything in. And reach out. Good. Back into tabletop position. And we are just going to start warming up our hips. So from tabletop, you'll just extend that left foot behind you, bring it up on to the outside of your left hand. Take that back. Extend your right foot behind you, outside of the right hand. We're just going to alternate like that a couple of times. Extending the left foot back, bringing it out on the outside of the left hand. You can rock forward if you want, and rock back on the left. So we're waking up our left hamstring. We'll do that a couple more times on this side. So our left foot is on the outside of our left hand, rocking back and forth a few times. And then come back into center. The left knee comes back down. Extend the right foot out behind us. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Lean forward into that left hip. And then start to rock back and forth. Waking up the hamstrings. From here you can bring your right knee back down. We'll do the same thing on the left side 1 more time. So extend the left heel behind you. Bring it up to the outside of your left hand. Rock back and forth twice. And then you'll bring your left foot in between your hands. Come up so that your hands are placed on your left knee. And we can either lean forward, getting a stretch in the right hip, or puff up into a cat spine on this side and tuck your pelvis under so you're really stretching the right psoas. The front of the hip flexor. This is a part for jumping athletes, beach athletes, that is usually quite tight. So this might be pretty intense for you here. If it's too intense, just come forward and let it be a little bit more passive. 2 more breaths here. We'll really connect into the tissue in that space. Okay, good. You can start to heel toe your foot back out to the side. Bring your hands in the middle. This foot goes back, so we're back in our tabletop. Extend the right heel behind us. This goes to the outside of our right hand. Rock back and forth twice on this side. And then start to move that foot in between our hands, and we can either lean forward, getting a stretch in here, or push up into cat spine using the leverage of our hands, so we're feeling a big stretch in the front of the hip. Making sure that our pelvis is tucked under. One more breath. Okay, good. Right foot wiggles back out to the side, hands come down, back into our tabletop position. You can reach your hands out a little bit forward, tuck your back toes, and we'll come up into a downward facing dog. You can start to pedal out your feet here. Walk your dog, as they say. And when you feel nice and ready, we will slowly start to tiptoe your feet all the way up to your hands. Roll your spine all the way up slowly as you can until we are standing. You can't see the top half of me. Well, you can if you're watching the recording later, but from here, we're going to just bring hands to heart center for a second. Take a big deep breath. And exhale. Inhale, hands come all the way to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, create a flat back. And on your exhale, bring your hands down to your mat. We'll take our left foot back. Our right foot stays forward, so we're in a runner's lunge, meaning our fingertips are just barely touching the floor. From here, we'll slowly lift up from our core, so we're in crescent lunge. Our back toes are tucked. We're holding strong in this position for one big breath. On your next breath, frame that right foot with your hands. Your hands come back down to your mat. Your right foot goes back, so we're in plank. Hold here for another breath. Building some strength. On your next breath, bring your left foot up in between your hands. So we're in our runner's lunge on the other side. Slowly lift up from your core, crescent lunge. One big breath here. And then slowly bring your arms back down to meet your mat. Take that left foot back. We'll take another big breath in plank. Drop your knees to your mat and bring yourself all the way down to your belly. And we will take our hands wide out to the side, so we're like in cactus arms. We're going to grip our finger pads into our mat or the carpet or whatever's in front of us. Loop your shoulders up, back, and down, and pull yourself up into cobra. On your exhale, come back down. Inhale, loop the shoulders, another cobra. Exhale down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, loop the shoulders back, pull yourself forward. Cobra. Exhale, back down. Your hands come back underneath your shoulders. You can tuck your toes again and just lift up into plank. And slowly wave yourself back so you're in downward dog once again. Take two big deep breaths here in downward dog. And you can start to look towards your hands. You can walk or step or jump your way to the front of your mat. And we'll just hang out in a forward fold here for just a second. On your inhale, start to come all the way up. Arms come to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, your arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, hands to shins, flat back. Exhale, fold. Your hands come to your mat. Your left foot comes back, so we're in that lunge once again. Coming back up into crescent lunge. Hold here for two deep breaths. Building some strength and stability. After two breaths here, you can start to hop your foot forward as much as you need to, or just create a little bit of a lift off that foot so we can come forward into Warrior 3 or airplane pose. Working on a bit of balance, making sure there's still a tiny bit of a bend in that front knee. Try to get your hips square on this one so we're not letting our hips open out to the side. If you fall out of it, just come back up. We're some airplanes. And on your next breath, we'll start to reach back with that left foot, and we're back in our crescent lunge. Next breath, your hands come back down to frame that right foot. Right foot goes back to meet the left, and you can come down into either a chaturanga push-up, or you can place your knees on your mat and go through cobra once again. If you're going through chaturanga push-up, you can come into upward dog, if that's a part of your practice. Either way, we're meeting in downward dog at the end of our vinyasa. 2 big deep breaths here. Step, hop, or jump your feet up to your hands. And on our inhale, rise all the way up, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, arms to your mat, or hands to your mat, sorry. Your right foot goes back, so we're in our lunge on this side, slowly lifting up from the core into crescent lunge. 2 big breaths here. Sneaky strength. Start to create a bit of that lift from the back foot, whatever you need as far as propelling you forward. So we are in warrior 3 on this side now, airplane pose. One more deep breath. Trying to keep the hips square. A little bend in the front knee. And then start to reach your right foot back. Back in crescent lunge on this side just for a second. And then hands come back down to your mat. Take that left foot back to meet the right. Chaturanga through a vinyasa of your choice, or down to cobra, meeting in downward dog. Take 2 big breaths here in your down dog. And we are going to look towards our hands, step, walk, jump, tiptoe till you're up to the front of your mat, and we'll just be in our forward fold for a moment. On your next inhale, slowly roll all the way up, slow as you can, until you are standing in mountain pose, Tadasana. I'm gonna adjust my screen so you can see me a little bit. Oh, half hour goes so fast. Okay, from here, we are going to have our feet steady. They're kind of like hip width apart. We're just going to start rocking back and forth like this. You let your heel come off the ground, whichever way you're rocking. I'll show you my feet for a second. This is what it's gonna look like. So we are practicing using our core when we're twisting. So a lot of time when we twist, we're basically letting the core be soft and using our arms and our neck sometimes to kind of force us into it. So on our next time that we rotate to the left, after I'm done explaining it, we are going to hold, letting our core hold us in that position. So it's going to go like this. So we're stopping. So you feel and you look like a dancer, and your core turns on without you really having to try or do much of anything. Take a few deep breaths here, just letting our core continue to engage, finding strength within the center line. One more breath. And then we'll go back to rocking. Do a few in between, and then we will, next time, hold on the right side. 3 deep breaths here, feeling your strong core. Okay, good. Release. We'll do a few more rocks back and forth, and then you can just start to bounce around on your mat. I know I miss jumping around. I don't know about you guys, but haven't been jumping very much lately, so just bounce around a bit. And then you can bring your feet as wide as you like, as wide as feels comfortable for you, and we will just clasp our hands behind our backs. We're opening up the heart a bit, opening up the shoulder blades, and just slowly start to tip forward, keeping a little bit of a gentle bend in our knees as we fold forward. If having your hands clasped behind your back doesn't feel good, you can use the ground in front of you and pull forward to straighten out your spine. You can rock back and forth and do some lateral lunge types of things if you want a little bit more movement. Someone is talking in the chat, just seeing if that's for me. Okay. Wherever you are in this pose, we can start to slowly bring ourselves back up. Heel toe back together and come back to standing at the front of your mat. From here, we are going to slowly start to come down. So you can come into, it's called like Malasana or Yogi Squat, which is essentially, we're like this. If you can do this comfortably, then great. If you want to sit on something to make it easier, also great. This is a transition pose helping to open up your hips a little bit. You can use it and be more active if you like as well. So moving around, waking up the hips like this. And eventually, we are going to make our way down to our bumps. Because half an hour goes really quickly, and now we're in seated poses. So, from here in our cross-legged position, we're going to bring our fingertips to our shoulders and just do a few big shoulder rotations, reaching all the way up as high as you can with your elbows, all the way forward so that they touch if you can. Slow, big circles. Lubricating the joints and the shoulders, helping to stretch everything out and open up the chest as well, because I'm sure a lot of us are doing this on our computers these days, so it's important to do some of this as well. One more big circle. And then we will keep our left foot on the mat, flex your right foot, and cross that right ankle over the left knee. So we can sit like this in our figure four position and tent our fingertips behind us and push forward. Or you can come down to your back and thread your arms through and grab underneath the left knee if that feels better. If you want to make this deeper and you don't get much of a stretch here, if you're up seated, you can slowly start to bring your figure four down to the mat on the left-hand side, twisting towards the left. But this is also totally great. This is more for glute stretching. This is more for hip stretching. One more breath here and then we'll switch sides. And start to uncross that. Your right foot comes down to your mat, flex the left, cross the left ankle over the right knee, figure four, other side. And once again, either on your back, fingertips tented behind you, or moving that whole structure over to the right side, getting a bigger stretch in the left hip. One more big breath here. And we'll bring both feet to the mat. Come down as slowly as you can, so one more small bit of core activation as you lower yourself all the way down. Once you're on your back, you can bring your feet in closer so that your fingertips can touch your heels. And we are going to slowly lift up into a bridge pose. Once we're here, you can start to roll your shoulders underneath you. You can clasp your hands if you want, but we want the pressure to be in our elbows and not our neck. So you want your head to be able to move around freely. Hold here for another 2 breaths. And slowly come back down. Windshield wiper your knees a little bit. And we're going to come into bridge once again. So lifting your hips up first. Being able to clasp your hands comfortably underneath you. And we want to make sure that our knees are contained and coming in together and not spewing outwards. One more breath. Slowly, gently come back down. And we'll only be down for a second. Take one breath here. And lift up. Last bridge. If you want this to be restorative, you can place something underneath you, like a block or a cushion. If not, we'll come once more into an active bridge, clasping our hands underneath us. 2 big breaths. Knees are staying in. Unclasp your hands. Slowly come back down. You can bring your knees into your chest and rock back and forth, or grab the outsides of your feet and come into a happy baby. Whatever feels like a good counter pose for the back bending. Okay, after a few seconds here, whatever else you want to do, by all means feel free. Otherwise, we are going to come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So just taking everything out long, laying down gently on your mat, closing your eyes. And we are going to do a bit of a release technique for this Shavasana. So we'll go through this twice, but essentially the idea is to learn how to relax. And you can do this by first generating a bunch of tension so that you bring awareness to what it feels like to relax after you bring a bunch of tension to the body. So we are going to, in our Shavasana, begin to tighten everything up. So tighten up your hands into fists, squeeze your forearms, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your thighs, squeeze your quads, squeeze your toes, squeeze everything in, scrunch your face up. Take a breath here. And then release everything down into the mat. You feel like you're melting. Do one more of those. On your next breath, start to squeeze everything inwards. Squeeze your arms, squeeze your core. Squeeze your bum, squeeze your calves. And release. Feeling true relaxation after you've generated a whole bunch of tension. And start to relax into your Shavasana. 2 more breaths here. Shavasana is the most important pose. And then slowly start to bring some movement back into the body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can roll over to one side and push yourself up until you're in a comfortable seated position. And I went 4 minutes over time. Sorry about that, Joanna. I don't know if anyone has like a hard stop at 12, but if anyone has anything else that they want to say or any questions, then we can wrap that up there. Or if not, namaste. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Megan.